Well, episode 3 of Becoming a Butterfly. Um, so we just going to dive right into it. Last episode we talked about dating and how I became a butterfly and my sense of dating and romance and how I've navigated that sort of aspect of my life and how that has affected how I approach this project. Now, today we're going to talk about my village and how I adjusted the way that I approach the relationship that I have with my village and how I went from being a caterpillar to a butterfly. First and foremost, I think I mentioned in the last video how I began to have conversations with certain people in my life. One of those people being my dad. I think the conversation that I had with my dad was probably the biggest conversation that led to really like me discovering some things about myself and really facing some of the demons that I was facing throughout different aspects of my life. Long story short, I had a great relationship with my dad growing up. Well, early on into my life. And then he went to prison. When he went to prison, we still kind of maintained a great relationship, but he was in prison. So it was phone calls and letters and seeing him on the weekends. That was the extent of our relationship. So obviously when you're seeing somebody so little and the interaction that y'all have is limited in comparison to the reaction that y'all used to have, it's a lot easier to just kind of keep things cool and easy. So he didn't really have to do any like discipline like my mom did. My mom and my grandma pretty much did all the discipline while I was from age 4 to 9. So it made it real easy to just love on daddy. Like dad was great. Dad was amazing. He was just like superhuman figure to me, even though he was in jail, because I really didn't know what all that meant. I just knew he did something bad and he had to go away. That was the extent of my knowledge of whatever. So it wasn't until he came home that things kind of shifted for me, because before he went to jail, we were besties. When he was in jail, we were pretty darn tight. Like, I used to get super upset if I couldn't see him, if I couldn't talk to him, and vice versa. I felt like he was the same way about me and all of my siblings. So when he got home, things kind of shifted. I mean, obviously, I think anybody would tell you that that jail and prison would change a person. A shift, coming back home 5 years later after being, in jail or in prison, and life is changing. Your children are older. When he went to jail, my brothers were in elementary school. When he got out, my brothers were in high school. So just a lot of things different. My sister was a newborn. My sister was 4, about to turn 5. I was 4 when he went to jail. I was 9 when he came home. So like I had a whole vocabulary, I had friends, I had a life, I was playing sports, I was doing, So a lot of things shifted when he came back. And it was a dynamic that I think my family got used to, that he wasn't ready to assimilate to. I think he thought that when he came home that things were going to be different. I think we all did. I think we all thought that when he came home that things were just kind of going to like work seamlessly. And we thought that maybe he would just kind of assimilate to the life that we had. And I think he was thinking that things would just return right back to normal as to how he left them when he came home. And I don't think any of us really faced the reality of how things were going to be different when he came back. But I think I was probably the one who probably had the biggest like culture shock, I guess, with it. So me and my dad's relationship was really, really like on and off rocky from probably like I was 10 years old to last year. I always wanted to impress my dad. I always wanted to look good in my dad's eyes, but I could not overcome the fact that when he went to jail, he was one person, and when he came home, he was somebody else. And I felt like the person that he was when he came home just didn't align with who he was. So it almost felt like I was just being abandoned and I was being thrown to the wayside, because I had developed a completely different personality than I think he would have expected me to have had he been home. And it was just like a lot. It was just definitely, a lot to kind of garner. But regardless of that, we had a conversation, and the conversation went amazing. Like, no pointing the finger, no blame. Both of us just taking accountability for how the relationship kind of went south, and just like kind of being sure and promising that, the relationship was going to stay on a good foot from there forward. And it truly has. Like, he was actually here for my birthday last year in Atlanta. He got to like meet all of my friends. It was the first time he got to see me like be gay, which honestly now it's just regular, but it was a shock because I think that was always something that I was fearful of. And not that my dad ever gave off like homophobic or anything of that nature, but it was just like, I'm a black boy who grew up in, very urban hood neighborhoods. Like, all of my family hood niggas. Like, that's just really the truth of it. So I think I was just kind of like nervous. And then it was also about the people that he surrounded himself with. So even though he might not have had the same ideals as some of these other people, I know like I've overheard like when he's not around, overheard his friends calling me soft. And even like my brothers and my older cousins or whatever, who he played a bigger part in like raising them in their more formative years, like talk about gay people. And so I just immediately assumed that my dad like felt that type of way. He didn't, but and we never really acknowledged how he really like felt about it. But every interaction that he had and how he came to me about my sexuality and how I acted or whatever was always positive. It was never anything like negative. So it was really just like a really good breath of fresh air conversation that we had. I had a conversation with my oldest brother, which he probably doesn't even recall, but I had a conversation with my oldest brother because me and him don't talk in like deep forms. Like, we've always gotten along. We probably had one argument my whole life that I can remember. We've always gotten along. He's 8 years older than me. Always gotten along. But he's distant. And I live in another state. So I'm by default distant. So we never really have especially me being an adult, since I was 18, I haven't lived in my house since I was 18 years old, in my parents' house. So we never had a conversation. We just never really had like any like adult conversation. So we finally had like an adult conversation just about like family, about how our parents acted, how our siblings act, just the whole nine. And it was like really crazy because I'm like, wow, like this is me facing like things that I never faced before. I never faced. And just kind of having a conversation with him and like really kind of recognizing that me and him have a lot more in common than I probably figured because of our age gap and everything. Not like I said, we always got along, we were always cool, close, but I just didn't think that we had that much in common. And this whole time, we had a lot more in common, and we thought the same about a lot of topics, which was interesting to me to find out. Beyond that, my friendships. I think this is a big part of it. And then I got one more relationship that I want to talk about. My friendships. My friends carry me a lot through a lot of things. I don't really lean on my family as much because there are a lot of things that I have experienced in my life that my family just doesn't experience. And I think that's what friends are for. I think friends, unless you have like really close in age siblings, which I have one, that I'm like close to, and you know what I mean? But I think friends are there because y'all kind of experience things the same. Whether you met a friend in school, in sports, or like, as adults in certain aspects of life, those people are there because they are going through a similar experience as you and can relate to you in a different type of way. And I've always had that type of situation since middle school when I met my two best friends. Like, I've always had sort of a lean on my friends. Like, I can always lean on my friends. I can always count on my friends to be there. What happened was that I decided that what I had wasn't enough, and that's where I went wrong. And this is like no dig to my friends at all, but I wanted a bigger village. Like I wanted a bigger community. I mean, it was because, in high school, my whole senior class, everybody was my friends. My entire class was my friend. Like it was 250 of us and we were all friends. We all knew each other. We all joked. We all laughed. We all, you know what I mean? Like it was always that. Then I get to college and I had a good amount of people in that. Not that I was close to everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody knew who my friends were, but like my close friends were, but I was cool with everybody. Like I had friends, like, you know what I mean? Like I could easily be like, hey, what y'all doing tonight? Like, where's the party at? And I meet up with an associate and we go kick it for the night and have a good time and look out for each other for the whole night and then it'd be that. So I just really kind of was like, now I'm here in Atlanta. I have, a solid group of friends, I have a solid group of 5, 6 friends. I have my bestie here, but I don't have community. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to throw a party, I don't got nobody who could come because I don't really know anybody outside of these people. So I was like, I just really kind of want to grow my community. So that's what I did. I started putting myself out there. I started making friends through them, making friends on my own, and boy, was that a rude awakening? Because what you have to realize is God is strategic, and God will put people in your life for a reason. And God put the people, my friends, I'm just gonna say coming out as gay and making gay friends. The first group of friends that I was introduced to, I became friends with. And I've been friends with them. And they've been these solid friends for me since I met them at the High Museum that day. And my one other friend was the first friend that I ever made. It was him, just him. So it was him, and then it was 5 of us. Well, it is 5 of us, not was. That was it. Those were the people that have stuck by me this whole time. And instead, I continued to kind of branch out. And they were always there. They were always by my side. They were always around. But I continued to branch out. I continued to make new friends or become cool with other people or whatever. And some of those friendships have lasted. And some of those friendships have sustained. But a lot of them didn't. And then I sit around with egg on my face, looking crazy. Because I think that I'm just showing up genuine. I'm just showing up myself. I'm just showing up being the best version of myself that I can be. And I'm getting shitted on. I'm getting shitted on. These people are talking bad about me. These people are making up lies about me. These people are having group phone calls and group text messages and all types of stuff about me. And all I'm doing is just showing up and being nice and kind and inviting people to my house and letting them eat my food and some more shit, giving them flowers and just being nice. And I'm being taken advantage of. I'm being shitted on in any way that they can figure out that they can. And it was okay. And this was the quickest lesson that I ever had to learn being out here in Atlanta, was that everybody's just not your friend. Everybody's just not your friend. And within a couple of months, I was we're gonna snap out of that. You don't gotta worry about me. You don't gotta hang with me. I'm cool. I don't play like that. And there's no love lost to nobody. If I ever had love for you, I still got love for you to this day. But that's that. But I really had to adjust the way that I approached that, and I really had to realize that my village is my village, and the God-given village that He gives to me, that's His plan. The friends that I have, I didn't seek them. We found each other. It just happened. Once I started to put my own plan into place and start to choose and start to go out there and try to make extra friends, is when things hit the fan. So I ain't even about to keep dwelling on that. We're going to talk about the last relationship that I want to talk about, which is my relationship with my granny. And I'm going to try not to cry. But long story short, shout out to my granny, my rock, my whole life. She ain't never played about me. I ain't never played about her. That's my girl till the wheels fall off. Unfortunately, my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia some years back. It's been about 3 years now. And as if you know anything about dementia, Alzheimer's, anything like that, it progressively gets worse. So at the stage that she is in right now, her memory is like pretty much almost completely gone. Like she barely remembers who we are. I think my face makes more sense to her than like my name or the relationship that we have. But all the conversations are like very surface. And if you know anything about me and my grandma could sit on the phone and got this conversation right here, I probably would have just had with my grandma. No shade. Like I could sit on the phone with my grandma for hours and just chat. I can run my whole business to her. I can cry, she'll sit there and pray with me the whole day. Like, and unfortunately, that I just don't have that. But what I've come to realize, and this is how I became the butterfly through my relationship with my grandma, is that she held my hand for as long as she could. Like she literally gave me every ounce of knowledge, wisdom, power. She introduced me to my relationship with God. She just did so much for me in my life that now, like, I feel like she knows that I'm going to be okay regardless. You know what I mean? Like, she has instilled so much in me that, like, not that I don't need her, because I always feel like I need my grandma, but I'm going to be okay. And now it's just more about enjoying the time that we do have with her, because when she shows up and she remembers who we are and she's herself and, you know, everything, it's like a joyous experience. My grandma's still the funniest person I know. She's hilarious. Like, and yeah, so that has been, you know, probably the toughest relationship battle that I've had to face, but I think that has prompted why I am so yearning for something to kind of fill the void. Why I wanted a bigger community, why I wanted these guys to stick around. And I wish I could explain it better. And I wish I didn't try to. I wish I hadn't projected that onto me building further relationships. And not that I didn't show up genuine, but it was just like subconsciously, that's what I was doing, was trying to fill a void. And I just got stepped on in the end. And the whole time, my grandma ain't going nowhere. She's in my head and in my heart every day. I can still call her right now, which is a blessing. She might not know what the hell I'm talking about, but she'll talk to me still. So, I say all that to say, oh my gosh. I say all that to say, shout out to my village. You truly do water me. Help me be a better and bigger person every day. To the people that were here and didn't stick around, I still appreciate you too. Because if you are part of my story, you helped me grow in some type of way. So that, you know, is kind of the gist of that. And I'm just appreciative of the village that I have and the village that I had. And I'm excited to see where life continues to go, when it comes to nurturing the village that I have and possibly growing it. I'm not opposed to it. I don't mind growing the village. Again, like in the last video, discernment has to be in place. But thank you all for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. And until the next episode, no bars.